All right, so on this week's episode of The Air with Brian Gregoire Interview Series, I had the opportunity to sit down and have a great conversation with Josten Boyer, who is a senior group sales account executive with the Memphis Grizzlies. And I met Josten up at the Tennessee Titans Career Fair last June in Nashville. And ever since then, she has been instrumental in my development as a salesperson in sports. Whenever I have a question about working in sales or just my career in the sports industry in general, Josten is always there to answer those questions completely and to be a great resource for me. And I can't express my appreciation for that enough. And in this interview, we covered a lot of ground. She talked about how she approaches prospecting, how she prepares to become a better saleswoman in her free time, which is very important. And most of all, she gives advice to college students who aspire to make their mark in the sports industry themselves. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we both did. Thank you very much for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Air with Brian Gregoire Interview Series. I haven't done this in a while, but I'm finally back here. And today, y'all are in for a real treat because I have Josten Boyer, who's a senior account executive with the Memphis Grizzlies, here to talk to me about her path into the sports industry and how she's found success as a saleswoman. So, Josten, thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. How is everything in Memphis leading up to the season? I know it's like a little lull period.
I know it's a weird time. We take advantage of the summer hours, but we're excited for preseason and opening night. We're ready to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that the excitement is there. Like we're kind of in that we're escaping that stage right now with the Cowboys, the AT&T Stadium. Like we're getting close to the season, but we were just in that kind of weird lull period. So I know
Mhm.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Well, we're quickly approaching the season, and I want to dive in here to some of the questions that I have for you here. So, the University of Iowa,
That's right. Go Hawks.
go Hawks, go Hawks. Home of Caitlin Clark,
The
George
most
Kittle,
famous. That's
Ashton
right.
Kutcher, and
Yes.
Josten Boyer. So, I want to know, how did your experience at Iowa help prepare you for your role with the Grizzlies, and what resources did you use there to put
Yeah.
yourself in a position to get that?
I mean, I came from a really small town in Southeast Iowa. And I just knew right off the bat I wanted to go to the University of Iowa. There's no question, no doubt. However, early summer, fall 2016, I thought I was going to be a dentistry student. Chemistry 101, I know, I know, chemistry 101 really kicked my butt. And I was struggling. I didn't know what to do because for the past 3 years or so, I really thought that's what my future was. So luckily the university is a liberal arts and sciences university, so I had to take a vast majority of courses in order to fulfill my bachelor of sciences degree. So I kind of was just going with the flow the first semester, and I ended up taking a sport and recreation and sales class my first semester. And I was like, I really like these people here. We think a lot alike. We can talk sports, but we can be serious, and it's a lot about business, which I like. My mom is a chief financial advisor for a school district back home, so it's in my language. It made a lot of sense, and like I said, the people around me, they were just, we got each other. So I dove into that probably by my sophomore year, and by then I wasn't quite sure where I would go to, but luckily enough, my department takes annual field trips, and we took a field trip to Tennessee my senior year, and we visited with the Memphis Grizzlies, the Nashville Sounds, which is a minor league baseball team in Nashville, and the Tennessee Titans. And we just really, it was just a networking thing. Luckily I had another Hawkeye at the Memphis Grizzlies that was on staff there, so I kind of used her to my advantage, and I just sat with her, listened to her. I asked her as many questions as I could, think of. Um, and it's like that Iowa nice thing. It's cheesy, but it's very true. I trusted her, she trusted me, and I took the leap of faith and I came down to Memphis to start my career. And I'm super duper happy that I did that.
Well, it's always those alumni from your school that help
Yep.
people plugged in. I mean, that was the story for me with the Cowboys, and that's something that I'll unpack later on in this series, a little cliffhanger. I will definitely get to that. but
Cool.
it's always the alumni that help
Yep.
you get plugged in. It's why it's important to make those connections, to take that chance, go on that trip, and
Yep.
use LinkedIn to your advantage, because you never really know
Mhm.
what's gonna come to it. It's always people that share that school with you that are gonna vouch for you at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
and I can kind of relate to what you were saying too about how the people in your major, they just kind of get you, like
Yeah.
it's you kind of speak the same language. That's how I felt when I did my master's in sport hospitality. And I still maintain great relationships with people in that major to
Yeah.
this day. So, I'm really thankful for that. And I'm glad you got to experience that at Iowa, because it's always a great gateway.
Right. Totally.
Now, you're in your sales role, you're thriving now. So I want to know,
Oh
what
boy.
what practices did you take to become like a better salesperson in your
Okay.
free time?
Okay. I mean, that's a loaded question because I will say, like, luckily the Grizzlies provide a lot. We have sales trainers that come in. We use a couple different companies, and sometimes we mix it up. We want to hear from different voices, different people from across the nation, different people who have not only sold the NBA but other things. So I'm very, very gracious that the Grizzlies take time to develop us. Um, so I'll say that's something that I look forward to. And I know that it stinks. You may be in a conference room for the whole entire day listening to one single person, but if you really take advantage of it, listen to them and just be a sponge. Even if you take one thing away, that's totally worth it. And they're also sales trainers too. And in your back of your head, you can think they're going to other teams. Who knows where that connection might lead? You never know. So I will say that's always at the tip of my fingers. I'm very thankful for the Grizzlies for providing that. Um, on top of that, I think that within the last 2 years, I've really tried to hone in who I am as a leader. So I don't know, just reading like books about management styles, leadership styles, career trends has really helped me figure out exactly the type of person that I want to be when the time comes to become a leader. Um, so yeah, I think just taking 15% of your day to do a little research, listen to a little podcast, read a couple chapters of a book, it will pay off. It really will.
So just going the extra mile to
Yep,
absorb more knowledge
that's right.
really pays off at the end of the day.
I agree.
No, it really does, and sometimes it can feel brutal when you have to sit through that long sales training, or you take those
Hmm.
extra minutes at night when you're tired to read. But
Yep.
if you can take one thing out of it and use it to improve or add something to your arsenal, like it really does pay the
Yeah.
dividends.
It diversifies you as not only a salesperson, but just a professional in corporate industry.
Oh, absolutely. No, there's always room to improve, and those that put that extra effort in, especially in their free time, they're gonna thrive. They're gonna thrive. It's just the recipe. Um, and now one thing that all of us and sales face at some point in our careers is resistance
Yeah.
from potential clients, customers. So when you're
Yep.
on the phone with somebody who's showing resistance, how do you approach that, get around it, and get them back on path to potentially buying?
Well, I mean, this is my 5th year of selling, and every year I get something new that I'm not ready for. So it's a lot of being proactive, I would say. What are you doing in the prep time? So that you can almost see it coming. You can almost see the change up coming off the, pitcher's hand or whatever. Um, so I would say if I can gauge where this family is, where this customer is, where this business is in terms of what are their goals, why are they even interested in potentially purchasing with us? Hopefully, if I'm doing my job correctly and asking those questions up front, I'll be able to solve the objections and the resistance on the back end a lot smoother because I can relate and say, well, when I first met you, when we met a couple months ago at the coffee shop or whatever, you did say you wanted to grow company morale. And I think, this would be your diagnosis. So taking those little bits and pieces from your initial conversations and then almost like throwing it back at them, it pays off for sure.
It's important to take good notes. It really
Yep.
is important to take good notes. I mean, that was stress to me in my first week at AT&T Stadium, and
Hmm.
I still use that. 2 months in, just take as thorough notes as you need, because there will come a time when you need it,
Yeah,
and when you have it there in your back pocket, the notes can really save the day, and it makes you more effective.
for sure. And it's at the end of the day, it might be an easy breezy sale, but you still need to get to know your customers. And figure that out at the front end. Sorry, my dog. He thinks he needs to go outside, but he's good. He's good.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I get it. We had one for years when I was
Ugh.
growing up, and when their minds are made up that they want to go outside,
Yeah. Well, he's just bored. He thinks he needs to be involved in this conversation right now, but he's fine.
they're nosy. They're nosy.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep. Yep. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. So every week when you're in sales, it always starts with prospecting and building that pipeline. So
Yep.
what's your approach to prospecting?
Prospecting is something that I think I can always work on. I think every salesperson can work on. The easiest ones are the referrals. I mean, that's going to be your easiest bridge in. So I would say prospecting starts right after you close a sale. I always send your thank you, send your whatever it may be, and say, here's my business card and here's three more. Let me know if anyone like you would want to come to a Grizzlies game or is interested in having me in their contacts. Those are the easiest because, there's a bridge there. We can connect on the person that they know. But I would say if it's not like a layup, prospecting, it needs to be something that you're interested in. I think that that's where it can get a little tricky. If I'm just looking up, I don't know, painters or artists or something that I'm not really interested in or know a whole lot about, it's not gonna equivalent to me. Like it's hard to explain, but you don't want to waste a whole lot of time on something that may not even pan out, and then you don't even know anything about it. So I think that the key is go down avenues that you're familiar with and look for things that make sense for you and your book of business too.
Yeah, it's really important to target things that you're familiar with, or that or like people that you can really connect with. Like because if you can connect with them off the bat, you can really move it across the finish line quickly. Like one thing that I kind of targeted here in Dallas, and it's gonna sound funny, is tractor
Mhm.
dealerships,
Yeah.
because I grew up around them. Like I kind of grew up in a country area. I
Mhm.
know the farm right down the street from me. Tractor
Yeah.
dealerships. I kind of I know them. Like I know how the people that own those things operate, and
Yep.
I know that they have a decent budget. So you
Exactly.
kind of
That's right. And
pivot.
you speak their language, and that kind of puts their guard down, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When you can speak somebody's language, and they kind of accept you, I guess off the bat would be the best way to put it.
Yep.
It makes the process so much more fluid.
I agree.
And so another question here. How long, I like to ask this to everybody.
Okay.
Um, how long did it take you to find your rhythm as a saleswoman?
Oh boy. I mean, the weird thing about sports is you've got an off season, an on season, preseason, like it's a playoffs, like it's a lot to juggle. It's a lot of time management. Um, I don't, think that I have it, to be quite honest with you. I think that every year I'm putting more on my plate in terms of like leadership. So, but I kind of like to be a little run by the seat of my pants a little bit. I think that keeps me fired up and excited and motivated. But I think that when I found my rhythm, it's when I really developed my book of business. And I knew that I found my rhythm when um, my people would recognize me at a game or, call me just to let me know that their kid graduated or it's their son's 12th birthday, just like almost like a friend, to be quite honest with you. I think that's when I caught my rhythm and I realized, even though yes, I've made these sales and I've made the commissions, but am I making an impact on these people? That's when I felt like this is what I should be doing.
And I think it has to be emphasized that something like that takes time.
Oh my gosh.
Like you're not gonna experience that 2 or 3 months in, but once you get
No,
close to a year and that sort of thing, over a year, like that's you start to see the familiar faces again.
right.
That's
Yep.
when you look up and you're like, oh wow, this is
Hmm.
together.
Exactly. Exactly. And you're like, okay, like I get it now. Like all of the time and effort and coffee runs and drop-offs and phone calls and emails, it's really paying off. Like when once you feel that they actually care about you and they start asking questions about you and your family and where you grew up, that's very rewarding to me.
No, it's 'cause at the end of the day, like it's all those relationships are the goal, the goal that we all seek,
Exactly.
and when that starts to become a routine part of your job, it's like, all right, I've got a purpose here.
Yep.
Like there's something that's driving me here, and I have to fulfill it. It makes it that much more
Totally.
enriching at the end of the day.
Yeah, totally agree.
Now, one last thing here. I always like to end the interviews off with this.
Okay.
Picture 21-year-old Josten Boyer and one of your classes at the University of Iowa.
Mhm.
What's one thing that you would tell your younger self or somebody in that position, but before you get to where you are?
Mm. I when I was in college, I was all about the college experience and having fun. I want everybody to have college experience. That's kind of what it's for. But I wasn't prepared to network with professionals, I don't think. Like when I brought up that field trip, I had never networked before. Yes, I had casual conversations in my practicums, but it was a more relaxed environment. Being with someone face to face who is a couple steps ahead of you and you admire them, it's really intimidating. Especially when you've never ever been in that kind of environment before. So I would say one, network your butt off, even if it's a networking event that doesn't make sense for you, if it's in a different college or a different school, go for it, get those reps in. It really really helps, takes out the awkwardness. I think I wish I had more practice in it. I'm gonna do a twofer. The second part is just go for it. I again wanted to have fun in college. I did not want to go on a field trip, but if I didn't, I definitely would not have made this connection here with the Grizzlies. And then again, even if my connectivity skills while I was in Memphis didn't pan out, I was more worried about moving to Memphis as a young woman all by myself, never living out of the state of Iowa. That's the cool thing about sports. You never know where it's going to take you. So just do it. It'll pay off. And even if, it's not originally what you planned, like at least you have that on your resume and you can, hopefully grow from that and look for your next step.
Well, and it's always scary taking that jump too, whether
Oh
it's
my gosh, yeah.
thrusting yourself into a networking event or accepting a new
Yeah.
job in a new place.
Yep.
I've done that with Alabama and
Yeah.
college Alabama, and then here in Texas, and it's so, especially when you're a small town person,
Mhm.
it's very scary. And it's also like it's nerve-wracking, like you said, meeting people that are very high up in person,
Yeah.
and I can think back to a couple of those meetings that I had, and the one thing that always comes to my mind, and I don't know if I'm sure this has popped into your head too, is this guy has talked to a lot of people. He's shaking
Yep.
a lot of hands, and he reads me exactly right
Hmm.
now. Like this guy reads me like a book, and
Yep.
it's terrifying, and it's not like you have any bad intentions or anything, but it's just like,
Right.
God, this guy can read right through me. So
Yep.
he knows exactly what I'm thinking, because
Mhm.
of course you're nervous meeting somebody with influence or with status, and so
Yeah.
and you know that they know that, and that just makes it 10
Exactly.
times worse. But you got to push
Yep.
through.
Exactly. You just have to break down the wall. If it's a simple connection, like, oh, I saw you went to the University of Iowa. So did I. I graduated. If you can find a tiny, tiny, tiny bridge to just let their guard down, you're in. I'm telling you. Even if it's a compliment to their jacket or whatever, that just eases everything in, I think.
Oh, absolutely. The conversational icebreakers are huge, and then also I'm thinking about know, that the fact that they were once that the fact that they were once 22 or 23, networking and interviewing and starting on
Right.
their first job, like they were once in your shoes. And I think
Right.
when you can take that pressure off, it can really like neutralize that
Yeah,
conversational playing field big time.
for sure. Definitely.
Well, thank you for joining me, Justin. This is an awesome interview, and you're definitely a great guest to get me back into my rhythm being an interviewer here. Like, yeah, you've definitely helped me out with that big time.
Good. Yeah, this was super fun. I'm always more than happy to sit down and talk with younger people about their future. So happy to do so.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like I part of the purpose of this interview series is for people that are like younger people are interested in getting their foot in the door of the sports
Right.
industry to get connected. What would you recommend is the best way for people to reach out to you to get connected?
Probably LinkedIn. I'm always on that. So shoot me a message. I'm more than happy to hop on a phone call. That's how Brian and I started out. So he messaged me, and what do you know? That was probably like a year and a half ago, probably. Don't you think?
It was June. We
Okay,
met
so like a year ago.
initially at the what was it?
Oh
The
yes,
the the,
in,
the
in
Titans the
Tennessee. Yes,
Titans
that's
career
right.
fair up in Nashville.
That's right. That's
That,
right. And
that,
then
that,
and then
that
you
weekend was
followed
awesome.
up. You
Yes.
followed up with the LinkedIn. That's right. I remember.
Yeah, those were wow, good times, good times.
Hmm.
But that
Yeah.
and that goes back to what you were saying, taking the risk
Hmm.
of going up to Nashville. A
Yep.
relationship
Right.
is formed here. So you just
Yeah.
it's always
You
it's
never
always
know where it'll
going
go.
for it.
Hmm.
It's
That's right.
always worth taking the risk, taking that first step.
Totally agree.
But thank you so much for coming on here, Justin, and have a great day. Definitely reach out to her. She's a great resource.
Yes. Bye. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you and the time that you took out of your day to watch the video. And if you enjoyed it, please be sure to like the video and share it, as well as subscribe to the Era. The more likes and subscribers I get on this channel, the more resources I can attain, and the more resources I can attain, the more value I can provide to you, the viewer. And that is how I show my appreciation for you for the time that you devote to watching my videos. So thank you so much, and have a great day.